Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the XP Podcast, level 27. My name is Rob, and I'm joined by my co-host today, Adam. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you doing, Rob?
I'm doing good. It's been a month since the last episode, and we are missing Austin. He said he had a very busy schedule this entire month, so he's not gonna be able to join us. But here we are. We have a lot of news stories to go over. Restructuring the show a bit. I kind of had it being, I feel like I say this every quarter or whatever, but I'm trying to find the sweet spot for this show and get the most out of it. And we did like a few stories real fast and then one main topic and then went into what we played to kind of make the show be something that I can juice as much content out of and utilize it for social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube shorts, that kind of stuff. We're just going to be a heavily news focused show. And then we'll talk about what we've been playing at the end if we have time. So hope you guys are excited about that, to hear us talk about more about gaming news. And if you guys don't have the time, check us out on TikTok at Ambitious Casual, Instagram at Ambitious Casual, or YouTube. And I'm going to start posting our shorts on the main YouTube channel. I don't want to make people have to go to another channel yet because that's just too much for everyone. So until further ado, let's get right into the intro. Welcome to the XP Podcast. We talk about video games and bring topics to the digital table for your amusement. If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, send them our way at Twitter. Send them our way on Twitter at Ambitious Casual. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave them in the comments, press the like button, and subscribe. Also, if you're listening on Spotify or any other podcast service, rate the podcast on there. That would do a big help for us, so that when people are searching up gaming podcasts, hopefully the more reviews that we get, the higher up we'll be in that search engine. And without further ado, onto the show. We got some good stuff to talk about. We have 3 sections of the show today: PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox. Let's start with PlayStation. All right. The Game Pass killer is here.
Oh, man.
Or is it? Now, Adam, I know in the last episode, we kind of talked about the rumors that were circulating around Project Spartacus. And so finally, the boy, the man, the myth, the legend, Jim Ryan, the truest gamer of them all, came out and finally gave us the actual info that we wanted and that we needed. And so this is coming straight from PlayStation Blog. I'm going to read it off and then we'll get right into the nitty-gritty of it all. Starting at the top, Jim Ryan writes, since launching PlayStation Plus in 2010, SIE has been at the forefront of innovation with game subscription services. We were thrilled to be the first console membership service that included a refreshed library of games through PlayStation Plus and also launched the first console game streaming service with PlayStation Now. Today, we are pleased to share with you official news about changes coming to our subscription service. This June, we're bringing together PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now in an all-new PlayStation Plus subscription service that provides more choice to customers across 3 membership tiers globally. Our focus is on providing high-quality, curated content with a diverse portfolio of games. Below is an overview of the 3 membership tiers. Everybody, strap in. We were the rumors that were circulating were pretty on point. I think they were exactly on point. So let's start from the top. PlayStation Plus Essential, $9.99 a month in America, provides the same benefits that PlayStation Plus members are getting today, such as 2 monthly downloadable games, exclusive discounts, cloud storage for saved games, online multiplayer access. There are no changes for existing PlayStation Plus members in this tier.
Or are there? Let's just look at the 2 monthly downloadable games.
Exactly.
And I don't know about you, Rob, but I've been getting 3 or 4 monthly games for a while now.
We have, and it's really making me think that, when you look at the monthly games for this month, I think it was like 2 PlayStation 4 games and 1 PS5 game. And it's making me wonder, okay, is the transition going to be now 2 PS5 games? Maybe. That's pretty cool. That'd be awesome. But if it ends up that we get June comes around and it's like your PlayStation Plus games of this month are 2 PlayStation 4 games, I'd be like, come on, what's going on here? So I'm hoping that this changes later because we have been getting more bang for our buck now. But it could be an incentive to go even higher. Thus, tier 2, PlayStation Plus Extra, $14.99 a month, provides all the benefits from the Essential tier, adds a catalog of up to 400 of the most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games, including blockbuster hits from our PlayStation Studios catalog and third-party partners. Games in the extra tier are downloadable for play. It looks a little better now. It is an extra $6 a month. No, $5 a month
5.
from the last tier. We get 400 games out of 400 games at the start. Now, I know PlayStation
Up
Now
to.
yes, thank you. Up to 400 extra games. PlayStation Plus, I do not know what PlayStation Now, how many games are on that service. And by listening to a lot of people, I don't think they said that it was even close to 400. It's a good catalog of games, but it's not 400. So I'm excited to see what this can bring. But we got one more tier. Let's go through that tier real fast. PlayStation Plus Premium, $17.99 a month, provides all the benefits from Essential and Extra. It adds up to 340 additional games, including PS3 games available via cloud streaming, a catalog of beloved classic games available on both streaming and download options from the original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation Portable generations. It also offers cloud streaming access for original PlayStation, PS2, PSP, and PS4 games offered in the extra and premium tiers in markets where PlayStation Now is currently available. And customers can stream games using PS4 and PS5 consoles and PC. And lastly, there will be time-limited game trials will also be offered in this tier so customers can try select games before they buy. Adam, what's your thoughts on premium? Are you sold on the idea? So far, if you get premium, we can get up to 740 games at our disposal.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It might come down to what the yearly price goes on sale for during the holiday season.
Definitely.
Because really that might change whether or not I would actually get it or subscribe to it.
Mm,
But in
mm,
terms of what it's offering, of course, premium puts the cloud streaming there, which is of course the only way you can get access to PS3 games. Um,
correct.
and of course it puts the rest of the, I guess, more classic PlayStation games, so PS2, PS1, PSP,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
the game trials are there too. So there's a lot that they put on the top shelf, basically. And I think it really kind of is like you guys, customers, consumers, you guys said that you care about the old games, so prove it. It's almost
Yep.
like it's like a kind of like a calculation or kind of how do I put it? Jim Ryan, right, is like, you know, got all the flack for saying, "Who wants to play this old Gran Turismo game?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, he got a lot of flack for it. He's like, "Okay, okay, if you guys really want to play those games, go for it.
Yep. Yep.
Subscribe to the most the highest price subscription,
Exactly.
and kind of prove that, that's something that you want." So I don't know. I could see myself trying it out at some point if like, oh, there's old games I want to get to that I haven't played before, kind of how I like honestly treat the Nintendo Switch Online stuff. But I doubt I'd just like always be subscribed to premium.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. I mean, to me personally, just the way that I am as a person, I'm just gonna go premium and just stick with that. Um, just because the ability to have access to that whenever I want to is just tantalizing, I guess. It's interesting though, because I mean, and you wrote this out, and I'm glad that you wrote this out. You kind of wrote out the yearly prices for all of them. Um,
Hmm.
for PlayStation Plus Essential, it is $59.99 a year, which is practically what you get for PlayStation Plus right now. Um,
Yeah.
and then if you go extra, that's $100 a year. And then if you go premium, it is $120 a year. So it really puts things in perspective to you like, okay, do I want to pay double for whatever PlayStation Plus Premium is offering me right now? Like,
Hmm.
is the classic games in whatever is on that 400 plus PS4 and PS5 games that they're going to be offering me that tantalizing for me to pay double? Is it going to be that worth it? And
Hmm.
so, to me, it's interesting because I want to play old classic games, but I don't know what's going to be on there. That's a great point. Like if Rugrats PlayStation 1 game, The Search for Reptar is on there,
Yeah.
why would it? I don't see why it would be because it's a licensed video. Like I don't see how things like that would happen.
Yeah.
But if it is, man, I would pay that because that's a classic game that I grew up playing as a child, you know? But is PlayStation going to be capable of putting all that kind of classic games, or is it going to be just everything that we know? Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 6. Is it going to be Twisted Metal? Is it going to be like just the heavy hitters? Now,
Metal Gear Solid.
don't even get me started, Adam. Don't even get me started, Adam. If we can get Metal Gear Solid on there, Metal Gear Solid all the way to like if we could get all of them on this service, perfect. That's enough for $120 for me. But I'm just hoping to see. And it's also the fact that the PS3 games are still our cloud streaming. This has been a big topic of discussion because of the fact that whatever that they were using to power the PS3, it was the cell processor that is still a problem, which I know earlier this year there was a patent to kind of emulate that. So hopefully this is going to be fixed soon. Um,
Mhm.
but I'm going to finish the end bit of this article, and this is what Jim Ryan has to finish off by saying that the new extra and premium tiers represent a major evolution for PlayStation Plus. With these tiers, our key focus is to ensure that the hundreds of games we offer will include the best quality content that sets us apart. At launch, which will be in June, we plan to include titles such as Death Stranding, God of War, Marvel Spider Man Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, and Returnal. We're working closely with our imaginative developers from the PlayStation Studios and third party partners to include some of the best gaming experiences available with a library that will be regularly refreshed. More details to come on the games we'll have on our new PlayStation Plus service. That little bit extra detail tells me that the PlayStation Plus collection is
Mhm.
growing. Not necessarily that what we're getting is getting better. Does that make sense? Because the
Sorry,
PlayStation
what
Plus
what
collection
Mhm.
was kind of like their, hey, these are our first party games that we are offering to you, and a couple of third parties that are pretty big. And so I feel like God of War, Death Stranding, Marvel Spider Man, Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, Returnal. I get a
Mhm.
feeling that those are going to be accessible based off of just the base PlayStation Plus tier, because the PlayStation Plus collection is accessible as of right now with the tier that we have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen to PS Plus collection. I don't necessarily read from this that they're gonna add titles to that.
Okay.
Um, like I really feel like they're talking about what's gonna be in the extra tier when they're talking about these
Mm,
titles
okay.
is really what I'm seeing because if you look at it, what PS Plus Extra says, adds a catalog of up to 400 of the most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games, including blockbuster hits from our PlayStation Studios catalog and
Oh, good
third-party
point.
partners,
Good point.
right? That's kind of what the PS Plus collection was for people who were hopping in on PS5. It was saying, "Hey, play some of the best games from PS4." And so if anything, I could almost see them setting the PS Plus collection and say, we did this to kind of, be a incentive for early adopters of the PS5 and to kind of give you guys some stuff to play if you hop back in and weren't on PlayStation 4 um, or weren't, kind of active on your PlayStation 4. Here's some of the best stuff from that so you can get caught up on. And then, of course, they were doing a lot of free patches, PS5
Definitely.
patches for those games too. So,
Definitely.
so that was a big thing. But I think that was probably like a goodwill thing or like an extra incentive to get people to want to buy the PS5. I know that's part of the reason why I got one.
Yeah.
And especially when they were in low supply,
Yeah.
that was a big deal for me was they're hard to get, but if I can manage to get one, I get to play a bunch of these great games that I missed, and I
Definitely.
I did. I played God of War, I played Bloodborne, I played there's another one, Ratchet& and Clank 2016,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to remember if there was another one on there that I played as well, but it's like, that saved me some money there, and, I don't have to I'm good, I'm set, I have the PS5, I don't have to worry about upgrading, you know, now, so
Definitely. What's funny is that in that list, one stands out from all of them, and that's Mortal Kombat 11. It's kind of weird because it's like first party, first party, first party, first party, first party, third party, first party. It's weird that they chose they like this had to go through a lot of
Mhm.
editors before it
Mhm.
was released, and they were like, let's keep Mortal Kombat 11 in that list.
It just tells me that they have it locked down already, you know?
Mm,
So they have to advertise at least one third party, I think, and they have that locked down. I'm pretty sure Mortal Kombat 10 was part of PS Plus collection, so, obviously they have a
good
good
point.
enough relationship
Good point.
with the Mortal Kombat, dev publisher, so
Yeah, yeah. Now, Adam, what is your thoughts on the time limited game trials? What do you think that's even going to look like? Do you think they're going to
Mhm.
offer that for first parties?
Oh, man.
Because that's the only way you can
Maybe?
get the people to believe in it.
I think so. I think because they're saying, "Hey, they specifically what is the thing that they've been saying, the virtuous cycle, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
they've been talking about, hey, the way that we make our first party titles and the amount of money that we spend on them would not work if we did day one drops on PS Plus
Yep.
plus extra,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so yeah, I could see the premium, those game trials, if they did game trials for those, kind of being the way to differentiate of, yes, you're in on the highest tier, so we're getting more money from you, but we're still not, letting you play the whole game without putting something into it. So I mean, I would love to see them let you buy it at a discount
Mm,
if you're premium. I don't
we'll
think that
see.
they're gonna do that,
Yeah.
but I'm like, sure, I mean, get I don't know. It's like it does help you not spend as much money, but you're spending more money by being a premium member. And so it's like I would like to see PlayStation at least, I don't know, like 10% off. It doesn't have to be crazy. It's just like
Definitely.
a small thing.
Definitely. I'm really interested to see how this works. Is it even going to last? That's my big thing. Game trials, demos, that's really not much of a thing anymore. We do get like these alphas and betas, which have kind of taken over as the demo, but the demos usually have been, back in my day, it was literally a portion of the actual game finished. So
Mhm.
nowadays, when we get betas and alphas, it's very unfinished product, and you might not even see the same thing when you actually get the full game. It might be more
Well,
refined or maybe set back
mhm.
to actually work on the platform. So
Um, Nintendo does a lot of demos on
very
their
good point.
games.
Very good point.
So,
Very good point.
PlayStation definitely uh is kind of, I don't want to say do like
They're
ripping
copying
off both
Nintendo, aren't they?
Nintendo and Xbox. Like
Yes.
they're kind of in this middle spot, but it's like they definitely want their first party games to be seen as like a premium product that, doesn't have like a short like shelf life.
Yeah.
So but kind of retains its value. And that's what they're wanting and want to go for. Like, it's crazy to me. I mean, it's not crazy to me, but think about it. Breath of the Wild still is like the cheapest you can get it is $30. And that's a
Definitely.
game that came out in 2017. God of War, game that came out in 2018, easy to pick up for $10.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like and I would say that both of those games are such high quality, and it's like PlayStation sees Nintendo and how their stuff retains its value, and they want to have that same mentality around their first party games.
Definitely. Definitely. And I think this proves the point that PlayStation and Xbox are not working on the same field anymore. And I'll be
Mhm.
honest, I think what's interesting about seeing them finally announce this kind of brings this weird ease to where I'm like, I feel like we're at a point now where every big publisher,
Mhm.
Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, they are all just doing their own thing now. And now it's about who's going to survive in the end.
Mhm.
Because it Nintendo, and we're going to talk about Nintendo later, they're doing their own thing and they are thriving off
Mhm.
of it. Xbox is doing their own thing, and we're going to see later it's doing pretty well for them. And so, is it going to control the market? We don't know. Now, Game Pass wouldn't. If Game Pass wasn't a thing, this would have never existed. This 3-tier PlayStation Plus thing would never existed because they wouldn't
Sure.
feel the need to make it. And so this is
Well,
pushing them in a way to
mhm,
kind of combat them a bit, but they're still trying
mhm.
to keep that premium. We are the premium guys. So I don't know. What do you want to add?
Well, of course, as Jim Ryan reminded everyone, they were the first to
Yeah, thank you.
have
Yeah,
they get their own, like, game streaming service, and of course, there's not necessarily much here that is new
yeah,
as much as it is a rebranding and a repackaging of, PlayStation Now, um, which, people are like, "What's that? I've never heard of it."
yeah,
And really, it gets a lot of shade, and it's probably more so than it deserves. It really is just, like, they've not emphasized it, it's not well marketed, and now they're kind of let Xbox Game Pass, it's been running, it's been doing its thing. I think they've been able to see what has happened with that and what it does well, what it doesn't do well, and kinda be like, "Okay, what lessons can we take away for what we do and how can we improve it?" Because really, the only thing I think that's even new here is the game trials. Like
definitely.
that is the only new thing, and everything else is just a repackaging and a rebranding, for the most part. Um, Obviously, now it's like instead of having two separate products, now it's like a tiered thing. So you can't have PlayStation Now without having PlayStation Plus.
Yeah,
But I mean, we'll see how it all shakes out. Um, yeah, it's hard to say.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Very good point. Very good point. All right. Well, Adam, before we leave this topic, I just want to know PlayStation Plus 3 tier. Is this a good for you, or is this a I'm skeptical and I'll wait to see?
I think this is good for me. I could
Okay.
see myself staying at Essential. I could see myself getting like a month or two of premium here or there, but I kind of like that there is like a I think I like that there is a tiered structure to the streaming and
Yeah,
or the between like extra and premium where it's like, okay, if you're not interested in streaming and if you're not interested in game trials and retro games, you just really want more of the like modern games subscription, there's that middle tier that you could do.
definitely, definitely. I also agree. I think the PlayStation Plus collect or the PlayStation Plus new tiers. I think they're appealing to me. I think there's potential in this. There's an ability that we can actually see some good stuff come out of this. Everyone's been wanting some classic PlayStation games. We're gonna see them. Hopefully, it is delivered. I'm hoping that whatever is going to be only accessed through a cloud at the beginning will soon be able to be downloaded onto the consoles very, very soon.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Um, Moving on to our next story, we've got some more PlayStation stuff as well as Lego is involved. This comes by way of GamesIndustry.biz Maria Delisandri. It is Sony and Kirkby invest $2 billion in Epic Games. This is what she has to write. Epic Games has raised $2 billion in funding round, it announced today. The funds came from existing investors with Sony Group Corporation and Kirkby, the investment company behind Lego, each contributing $1 billion. The investment will go towards advancing the company's vision to build the metaverse and support its continued growth, Epic said in the announcement. Tim Sweeney commented, who is the CEO of Epic, the largest shareholder of the company. This man is rolling in the dough. I just want to let everyone know that. Good for him. This is what he has to say. As we reimagine the future of entertainment and play, we need partners who share our vision. We have found this in our partnership with Sony and Kirkby. He continues, this investment will accelerate our work to build the metaverse and create spaces where players can have fun with friends. Brands can build creative and immersive experiences, and creators can build a community and thrive. End quote. Lastly, Lego and Epic announced a long-term collaboration to develop a children-focused metaverse just last week. That's not really the main point of this article. I just want to touch on real fast that Lego and Epic
Mhm.
are teaming up together. They're wanting to go into an all-out war with Roblox. That's mainly the thing. Roblox has taken the world by storm. Minecraft has taken the world by storm. Why is it taking Lego so long to do this? Because it is the perfect thing for them. They fit right into that space. They're doing that. Getting that out of the way. Adam, Sony's got $1 billion in the bank and they just gave it all to Epic. What's your thoughts on that? We have people been saying things like, "Oh, Microsoft has been throwing billions of dollars here or there," and then we see Sony drop $1
Mhm.
billion to Epic, which this isn't the first time they've done so. They've done two other investments into Epic last
Mhm.
year, and so this nets them out to like I forgot, it's like a $1.47 billion investment into Epic. Don't quote me on that, but overall, what do you think of this? Do you think there's a deeper strategy to the reason why they're investing into Epic?
I think there's something that kind of just, occurred to me, but I do think Sony is trying to, how do I put it, kind of gain, like, the resources and kind of, like, gain the infrastructure, for their teams to build what they wanna build, and so, Unreal 5, first of all, Unreal 5 has been, kind of getting a lot of adoption from different places. I think we saw that CD Project Red's new Witcher project is going to be on Unreal 5.
Definitely.
There's some other things that we've been hearing of, but especially the line where they said, "Oh, what was it? The company's vision to build the metaverse and support its continued growth." The fact that they're talking about metaverse here, to me, really ties into what Haven is working on and how Haven's been talking about their game, which I don't have any direct quotes handy, but they talk a lot about it being a kind of uh, the most live servicey of live servicey things, and
Definitely.
something that is supposed to be kind of like user generated content and kind of um, meant to kind of grow and last a while. And I'm like, that game, I imagine whatever they're working on, I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if they, come out and say that's gonna be an Unreal 5 as well. But I
Yeah.
definitely think that the partnership with Epic, kind of fits really well in that, in the recent acquisition of Haven, and I think those things are probably definitely connected.
No, yeah. I mean, my big thing with a lot of this is that I'm seeing, I think Fire Sprite is utilizing um Unreal Engine. I believe there was one more
Mhm,
there's one more other studio that Sony recently just acquired. They are also using Unreal Engine 5. The good chance Haven Studio is also using Unreal Engine 5. Like you said, metaverse all around involved. I will say what comes with an investment is very important things. When you invest, you expect something back. And what is it that you want to expect back? Money.
mhm,
And so what I
mhm,
think is that Sony is putting themselves in a great relationship with Epic. I think right now to be in a relationship with Epic is the best place. They are loved by a lot of people. And I think that they are in the right spot right now to be partnering to, like, they're doing so good to receive a return from your investment is practically a done deal. And so, what I think this can do for them is then allow them the ability to one, grow their studios and allow for whatever they said that they had planned by 2025, 10 live service games. You got to
mhm,
start building up your studios, bring in the funds, bring some, receive some funds back. And on top of all of that, I think what's very interesting is I think there's a potential that we can see these funds being returned to Sony as means to allow them to maybe, and this is just me hypothesizing, maybe allow them to go and acquire more studios in the future. Now, if they're not seeing direct returns right away, right now, because to be honest, the only game that we've seen release as of this year so far that's PlayStation Studios is Horizon. When's the next one? God of War, hopefully by the end of the year. And so,
mhm,
if anything, if they need to get some more capital back quicker, get some more money back quicker to compete in this acquisition race, hopefully something happens soon. I know that there's a lot of things going around about acquisitions left and right. There's been seeing people already theorizing that Kojima Productions is being acquired, which is not a surprise to me. I know Jeff Grubb has mentioned that there's something even bigger than Kojima Productions happening, but he doesn't want to say anything yet. So
mhm,
there's just a lot of talks in the air. And so I think that this not only gets the relationship close, they can get close with Epic to help them build their games, but I think there's also a money incentive in the back end to allow them to keep growing. So I don't know. I think that's I get a feeling that that's where they're going with it. But yeah, do you have anything else you want to add to this?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that covers it all.
All right, let's move on to the Nintendo corner, everyone. This is an interesting one. Acquisitions are happening left and right, and Nintendo is next. But it's not what you think. Now, this is coming by way of Video Games Chronicle, Chris Scullion, and Nintendo acquires dot 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 some land. This is pretty interesting. Now, this is what Chris has to write. In a new statement posted on its corporate Japanese website, the company announced that it, quote, will be acquiring and utilizing the land, end quote, which had previously been owned by Kyoto and had been used as a foundation support factory and a material and disaster prevention center. According to Nintendo, the roughly 10,000 meter squared site with which it's purchasing for 5 billion yen, which is $39.8 million, will be the home of its new building, tentatively named Corporate Headquarters Development Center Building Number 2. They're really good at the names.
What a name.
What a name. This would be a 12-floor building due to be completed by the end of 2027, which Nintendo believes will carry an important role on reinforcing its R&D. We will come back to that phrase in a bit. Nintendo said in a management briefing in November that the Switch's unexpected level of success has enabled the company to invest in new business opportunities and including expansion of its game development capability. During the briefing, Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa said it will spend up to 100 billion yen, $800 million in American money, expanding its internal game development capability, and up to 50 billion yen, $400 million, growing its non-game entertainment software assets, such as movies and other things, amusement
Mhm.
parks, you name it. Adam, from the start, this is not like our normal acquisition thing. We're seeing Xbox, we're seeing PlayStation, we're seeing Tencent, we're seeing the Saudi
Mhm.
Arabian family acquiring things, okay?
Mhm.
This is a very different thing. Nintendo has been kind of, like I said, everyone's playing their own different games now, no pun intended. And Nintendo seems to be acquiring Nintendo. They're trying to build
Yeah.
themselves up, you know?
Yeah.
And
They're
it's
expanding themselves.
exactly. And it's good. I like
Mhm.
what I'm seeing. The line that will carry out an important role in reinforcing its R&D. And I love the fact that they even say later down the line that the Switch's unexpected level of success has enabled the
Mhm.
company to invest. If we everyone forgot, the Wii U was in a horrible position. And there's a not to say that the Switch, if it didn't do well, would be the end of Nintendo, but it would have brought upon a very desperate Nintendo. And it brought the complete opposite. Nintendo is a phoenix rising from the Wii U
Mhm.
ashes, you know? And so
Mhm.
with all this, I want to know, what are your thoughts on everything?
It's just all really exciting. They've done a really good job with the Switch, and they're able to kind of, like I said, they're getting to expand and both from like they said, an R&D perspective. So, they're going to continue to be able to play around with hardware and like what's upcoming next. But two, they are expanding internal development studios,
Yes.
or their internal development studio. So there's going to be I don't know if that means more concurrent projects or just larger staff on the projects that we have, but I mean, it just means we will likely get to see an increased amount of awesome, high quality first party titles. So it's all good. We'll we'll see what happens in terms of what they said in regards to what was it, the non game entertainment software assets.
Yeah,
I'm still like, we need to see what this actual Mario movie is first
exactly.
before, I get too excited about that part.
Exactly. And I will say the fact that they're even saying out loud that they're investing more into non-game entertainment software assets, which could be a lot of things. And there's a possibility that, and this is from gamesindustry.biz, they wrote such as movies. So it could be that it is movies as one of them. Then maybe that the little bit that they've seen of what is being developed in regards to the Mario movie is already appealing to them as it is, and they're willing to keep going. So
Yeah. Maybe we're getting
that's
another Kirby cartoon. We'll
maybe.
see.
Yo, I love that Kirby cartoon, man. That Kirby cartoon was awesome. I was just talking about that with my brothers the other day. I think what's interesting about R&D is the fact that, R&D, research and development, that can be utilized when it comes to making things, such as a new console. So I don't know what this means. I don't like I they completely left the handheld market by creating a hybrid. So there's no more do you have a Nintendo Wii and a Nintendo DSi. It is now you just have a Switch. You don't need two different devices from Nintendo. What does Switch 2 look like? What does the next generation of Nintendo look like? I'm very interested. And I'm very interested as to what their R&D could even lead to. I just it's not even I don't even think that has to do with the video games like software. I feel like R&D has to do with the hardware. I'm just that's where my mind is going. I could be
Mhm.
just overthinking it. But I'm very interested to see what do they have up their sleeve. I feel like there's a Nintendo that is keeping so many secrets right now, which is good. And is
Mhm.
keeping everyone at the edge of their seat because I'm really excited to see what you have to say, whether this year or next year. Because I feel like the Switch has been out for what, 6 years now? 6 to 5 years. We're getting close to the end of this thing.
5 years. Yeah, just
And
over.
and they just recently did a refresh of the new Nintendo Switch Pro.
It's just the OLED model.
Thank you. OLED Switch. SWOLED is what they call it.
Mhm. So OLED.
Um, so I'm very interested to see what they have planned. Again, this is not going to be done till 2027. So that's like
Mhm.
5 years from now. But until then, they have bigger plans in the future.
Well, and that's just the building. Like the stuff with the internal game development and the non-game entertainment that could be on like a shorter timeline
Definitely. Definitely.
than the R&D. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting to see. Maybe I don't know. I don't even know where to go with it. It's
Yeah,
just we'll have to see what happens.
I agree.
I know everyone's like, oh, the Switch, it's at the end of its life cycle, and it's like maybe. I mean, it's not a strictly a home console anymore, so we have
Definitely.
no idea what the life cycle for a hybrid model like this is. Is it the roughly 7, 8 years that we see with the normal home consoles, or is it a 10-year with multiple, mid life cycle refreshes?
Definitely.
Who's to say?
Definitely. Adam, speaking of the Switch as a console, let's go into our next story.
Mhm.
Is Breath of the Wild 2 a Switch 2 game?
No! What what do you mean by like it's not coming to the normal Switch?
Exactly. We're gonna go straight to the Verge. This comes by way of Chaim Gardenberg. Breath of the Wild 2 has been delayed. They write the still unnamed sequel of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 has been delayed to spring 2023. Producer IG Onuma announced today in a video update. The game had previously been set for a 2022 release window. This is what he has to say. Quote, we have decided to extend our development a bit and change the release to spring 2023, Onuma said. He continues, in order to make this game's experience something special, the entire development team is working diligently on this game. So please wait a while longer. Adam, this game has so much writing on it. Like, I, and they have to know it. There's so much hype for Breath of the Wild 2. Breath of the Wild
Mhm.
2, one of the most not and it's not much of a looker in regards to fidelity and all that. But oh my god, that game changed. Like it paved the way for a lot of open world games. Just look at the opening for Elden Ring, practically beat for beat, how Breath of the Wild 2 opened up. Like it is inspired so much. And so now that Breath of the Wild 2 is set to be coming very soon, it has been delayed yet again. And the amount of times I keep looking at the small teaser that we've had for a long time, I
Mhm.
keep telling myself, there's no way this thing is running on a Switch, dude. There's just no way. So that's me. I'll go deeper in my thoughts, but I want to throw it over to you. What is your thoughts about the delay of Breath of the Wild 2? And come on, Adam, throw me a bone here. Is it a Switch 2 game, please?
In terms of the delay itself, it's a little disappointing. You're like, I'm excited to play this game, But at the same time, what they say about it, we're just going to get a much better game for
Definitely.
the fact that they're delaying it.
Definitely.
So, the fact that they talk about, in order to make this game's experience something special, and in this context, I almost think of the kind of special that I think of when I think of like Pokemon Crystal, Gold, and Silver,
Mm,
where it's like, well, you had an entire game, and then you have the entire old game in the new game as well,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping it just means something special in terms of the scope and like the length of the game and everything that they're trying to do in the game. They're just developing more areas or more dungeons or more than what they were originally planning on. And
Definitely.
but they're like, if we add this stuff in, it's going to be an incredible game. And so that's kind of where my mind goes to. Um, I don't know. I feel like it would be really against the grain of what they do to have been, hyping up this game and talking about it and announcing it as a Switch game
Mm,
and then for it to not come to Switch.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild came out on Wii U. Twilight Princess came out on GameCube. So like whenever they have a Zelda game kind of like at the edge between generations, it's usually cross generation. So I don't see them not having it on Switch. Even if it is like a Switch 2 launch game, it would be like a Switch 2 launch game in the way that a Breath of the Wild was a Switch launch game. It still came out on Wii U. So they've had more time with the hardware. They probably know how to utilize it better. You know, maybe that's part of what their R&D does. Robert is, kind of making tools to really get the most out of the hardware that they already have. Um, but like I said, it's hard to say. It's hard to
Definitely.
say what the actual life cycle of the Switch is going to be. If it's just going to be 7 years, or if it's going to be longer, shorter. I don't
Definitely.
know.
And I think what's interesting about all of this is the fact that I completely agree with everything that you said. Delay, that's fine. Obviously, much better project at the end. I want Breath of the Wild 2 to be crisp. I want this thing to be like it's just like how Elden Ring has just overtook all of just gaming. This game will also do the same thing. There's just no doubt about it. And they know that. And they need to create the best experience so far. And so my thing is, I agree with everything that you're saying. I think there's a good chance that this thing can be a gap game. And look, I don't know what Nintendo's thoughts and visions are right now. We know that back in 2021, when it was announced by Bloomberg, excuse me, when it was announced by Bloomberg that they were actually creating a Switch Pro, and there was even specs and everything involved in it, and people from the know were talking about it, and that did not end up being the case, and we ended up getting the SWOLED, which is great and it's fine.
Mhm.
But I think what's interesting about that is possibly, and this were things that were even being talked about. We even talked about this last year. COVID still being a thing, the ability to get chips and chip shortages and all that kind of stuff was still going on. It still is going on to this date. Is it possible that we can get an upgrade? Like, is this the next thing for Nintendo? Is it possible that the Switch will become an upgradable system every 2 years, every 3 years? Like, is SWOLED the PS5 Pro? And then, well, that's a horrible example because after the PS5 Pro after PS5 Pro will be PS5 6 or PS6. I guess my guess is Nintendo taking the phone route? Is it like every other couple years we're gonna get a new iteration? Let's get this thing a bit more powerful. Could it be that they've been just trying to store up as much chips as possible, go the smart way because they saw what happened with PlayStation and Xbox with the chip shortages, mainly PlayStation. And let's try to keep up as much chips that we got in this deal with Nvidia, which is I think who's the people that they were rumored to be working with, and then get everything ready so that way when we want to push the Switch Pro or whatever they're going to call it, we have enough out there so we can start selling it. And then with that, we'll allow the ability to have games like Breath of the Wild 2 to run better, look better, but it is still playable on the SWOLED or the OG Switch. I feel like that's what they can go with because Adam, you've seen the same video as me. That sky in that teaser is nowhere close to what the Sky and Breath of the Wild one looks like. And I'm not even saying it's the fact that it's there. It's like this is a next gen game. This is the same gen game. It just the ability that either they just got so like either they're wizards and they just found out the magical code to allow the ability to show such beautiful vistas and be able to like hide the land and like showcase the sky and like I don't know. It just doesn't add up in my brain at all. And so if I put Breath of the Wild 2 on my OG Switch, I got it the day it came out, and it looks like that still, like the video, I'm gonna be blown away. Because I'm gonna be like, where
Mhm.
has this potential been the entire time? So do you think I'm overhyping myself? Do you think there's something there?
I don't know. I want to say that you're overhyping yourself just because it's always safe to hedge your bets and not get
Definitely.
your put too much hope in something, especially in terms of video games, right? You know, it's a passion, it's a hobby for us, it's something we enjoy to do, but it's not worth losing sleep over. That's for
Definitely.
sure.
Definitely. Well, Adam, thank you for bringing me back down
Hmm.
to Earth, like Link will be one day. Um, but let's move on to our Xbox corner. We're gonna be talking about Game Pass a little bit. Now, this comes by way of Benji Sales on Twitter. He's somebody who follows the logistics of sales and all these kinds of things with gaming. So go check him out. It's at Benji Sales. He's worth following because he's always up to date on just the ins and outs of gaming in the back end. And so he posted some stats that was going on from Microsoft at GDC, and this is what he had to write. Subscribers play 40% more games after joining Game Pass. Games on average see 8.3 times lift in players, and day one launches see 3.5 times lift in players for large publishers. Indies 15 times. And then he continues by saying that subscribers spend 50% more in regards to just money towards the games or towards the store. And then indies have seen triple digit revenue growth. That is a huge deal right there. He had some graphs and everything on there. You guys can go check him out if you could check out his Twitter post, and I'll put the link in the video as well. But starting from there, Adam, just by looking at these stats at face value, it's looking like Game Pass is actually doing pretty well in comparison to what everyone's saying that it's not going to be a sustainable thing. It looks like for the people putting the games on the service, they're doing good. In terms of how Xbox is doing, we're not quite sure. But
Yeah,
but the
yeah,
people
yeah.
who are putting their games on that service are doing pretty well. What are your thoughts?
I think that, of course, always take it with a grain of salt when you're looking at a company marketing their own success
Yeah,
in a way, or you know
definitely.
they're promoting their own product. Um, Maybe those bounty paper towels don't actually pick up as much liquid as as that ad is showing.
They don't.
Um, but it's hard to say it if they're being forthright and transparent with the numbers, then this is a really good look for why you should work with Microsoft and why you should consider putting your game on Game Pass or becoming part of their ID at Xbox program, um, to kind of which is not strictly just Game Pass but just like a kind of almost like how would you put it? You'd almost say like Xbox is kind of helping publish your independent game,
Definitely.
uh,
Definitely.
the idea at Xbox program. So they're basically, trying to say, hey, we are doing a good job of getting people to play your games or spend money on your games. That's why you should work with us.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
this is a very, seemingly very positive advertisement for that.
Definitely. Definitely. And this is technically not even for us. This is Xbox trying to reach out to more developers.
Right.
This is Xbox trying to show, hey, look what these guys are getting. You can get that too. Just come over here. And that's exactly what this is. So continuing on, this continues in a Xbox Wire post that came by Chris Charla, who is the general manager of content curation and
Hmm.
programs. Xbox paying indie developers $2.5 billion in royalties. This is what he has to write. When we started the Idea at Xbox program almost 9 years ago, we really didn't know much. We knew that independent developers were driving the pace of video game innovation faster than we'd ever seen, and we knew the work they were doing was incredibly progressive and important. We also knew that our players on Xbox loved the artistry and diversity delivered by these developers, and to make sure our players got the best, most diverse array of games possible, we had to do everything we could to help developers maximize their success on the Xbox ecosystem. The results have exceeded our wildest dreams. Since the program's inception, independent developers have earned more than $2.5 billion in royalties, and total revenue generated by Idea at Xbox partners on Xbox almost doubled over the last 3 years. These are staggering numbers, and it speaks to the power of independent developers. We've also paid developers and publishers across the Xbox hundreds of millions of dollars in Game Pass license fees. There are amazing games out today on Xbox and other platforms that would never have existed without the support of Game Pass members. And that's really been an incredible phenomenon. Ensuring that millions of Game Pass members get to experience some of the best independent games ever created has been transformational for Xbox players and developers. Game Pass is another avenue that helps encourage Xbox players to discover new genres and games. After joining, the average member plays 30% more games and plays 40%. No, my bad. After joining Game Pass, the average member plays 30% more genres and plays 40% more games, with the majority of these games being outside a Game Pass. This is a lot of numbers. This is a lot of talk. This is interesting because some of this licensing money, some of this royalties, we're seeing this from games such as Death's Door.
Mhm.
I can't even think of another one. I came already prepared for that one in my mind. But
Tunic.
Tunic, thank you. Tunic, Death's Door, these games that are starting off on the Game Pass, and then we're seeing them trickle to Switch and PlayStation and on and on. And
Mhm.
so this is tantalizing to any developers as a whole. These developers who are struggling, like they're making these games up to the brink of whatever is left in the bank. And this is ensuring them, hey, let's instead of putting this on all platforms,
Mhm.
couple million dollars or maybe half of that can totally keep us afloat and allow us to then start working on the ports for PlayStation and
Mhm.
Switch and all that afterwards. So what this is influencing is every indie developer now can say, if we have something here that we can pose to Xbox that is worth their time, let's not even worry about trying to make this game multi-platform. Let's just worry about making this game for Xbox. We get the money, we get the bag, good. We are good to go. Once we have the money in the bank and we can ensure that we can eat for the next 2 years or next whatever, then we can
Mhm.
start getting ready and start investing and porting this into other platforms to continue our success. It's it's smart. Everything that they're saying here is smart. Like I said, this is all for the developers. So Adam, do you want anything you want to add to this or
Um, I guess so. Just kind of bring up. Of course, it's a complicated, you know, multifaceted, multi-layered kind of thing to talk about when we talk about subscription services,
definitely?
how games are funded, everything like that. Um, personally, I don't use a lot of the subscription or the game subscription services myself. It's not necessarily how I want to play games, but um, and of course I play on PlayStation and Nintendo primarily, so of course I don't really play Game Pass anyway, but,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, there's always a risk for both, and we'll actually bring up a PlayStation example, but there's a risk in you that you have to take in terms of, okay, we can make this deal and get money now so we can actually get the game out of the door.
Yeah.
But then it's like you could be actually limiting your profit and your earning if the game, has a lot more downloads than what you and your publisher were planning on, and
Definitely.
oh, maybe the you could have asked for more. And I think it kind of just goes to show like you need like the companies who put their games on Game Pass or on PlayStation Plus really need to consider that,
Definitely.
because we actually just have some articles. I'm bringing it up now. Some articles around. This one's from Games Industry Biz. Sorry, Games Industry Biz, and it's about Oddworld Soulstorm.
Yes.
So Lorne Lanning, kind of the creative mind behind the Oddworld games, was kind of talking about how they had a deal with PlayStation
Yep.
for Soulstorm to go on
Yep.
PlayStation Plus as one of the free monthly games for PlayStation 5 only. And, if they were originally going to come out in January of 2021, game got delayed. They came out in April instead. And I want to say, let me see if I can find the numbers here. Oddworld initially expected around 50,000 to 100,000 copies to be claimed by users on the service, but it was actually downloaded close to 4 million
Yes.
times, according to Lanning. And that's from the Games Industry Biz article.
It's so
Um,
so crazy.
yeah, so you gotta it's a risk. They needed the money to get the game out the door, and so of course that's why you do these deals, and just kind of make sure you get at least like a guaranteed money or are able to finish your game. But then, oh well, the game did way better than what you're expecting on the service, so it's like, okay, was this a good deal for us? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously, they talk about the ID at Xbox program having royalties.
Yes.
And I know it probably varies from game to game, but I believe for the games in that one, there's some additional payouts if they reach certain sales numbers and or downloads. I don't know if that Xbox does that as well for Game Pass games. I think a lot of the deals, especially with like larger developers or third party publishers, is kind of like, nope, this is the amount for it to go
Yeah.
on Game Pass. There's not necessarily any kind of performance metrics tied to additional payouts, and it's hard to say what actually works best for everyone, but or if you're getting the best deal possible, but it's like you're at least getting a guaranteed payout.
Definitely.
So
Definitely. And I think what's interesting about all this, and I'm going to reference something, and it's some people, you can go check it out. It's on Last Stand Media.
mhm.
Defining Duke, they had a interview. It was both Maddie and Lord Cog sat down with somebody who has their games on Game Pass, and he
Was it the Guacamole guy
uh,
people?
I believe so. I think so.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and they talked about it, and he was given as much information as he could. Some things he was obviously NDA to not talk about, because who's going to want all that kind of business out there? But he was talking about certain aspects of it. If I'm not mistaken, and his thing was like, this is, I only know what we got, and I don't know about everybody else. So everyone could be getting different deals, but for them in particular, it was set amount of money, this many sales, extra money. I mean, not sales. This many downloads, extra money. If I'm not mistaken, this much time played, maybe a little extra money. There's incentives along with it. And so, exactly what Adam said, I feel bad because I don't know if you remember, and those who are watching and listening, when Oddworld Soulstorm came out on PlayStation Plus as a free game, it was looked at as everyone was like, oh, PlayStation, is this how PlayStation is going to go against Game Pass? Because this is when Game Pass was brand new, and it kind of felt like this was a response to be like, oh, out of nowhere, PlayStation is going to allow this brand new game on PlayStation Plus for the first time ever. They never done that before, and
Mhm.
so because of that, it sucks because a deal was made, and you can't hate anybody. This is new territory for everyone. A deal was made, the success through that deal was so much higher that there was nothing in the deal that allowed for the studio to grow with that success. It was just a one-time done deal. Boom, here's the amount of money, and we expect this many sales. But no, it went even further beyond, which kind of shows the power of the PlayStation ecosystem in and of itself already through that.
Mhm.
But it's interesting because then, if this was a Game Pass game, based on the little knowledge I know, and based on certain interviews, for instance, that one in particular from Defining Duke Ultimate, it seems as if that game was on Game Pass, they would have continued to see some sales due to royalties because people are constantly playing the game and downloading the game over time. But
Mhm.
it's different from person to person. So,
Mhm.
Adam, do you have anything else before we leave the side quest stories? Do you want to add?
Um, the last thing, and I think we've talked about it before. Um, it's probably not worth getting into, but I would also just
Go
like
for it.
challenge people to think about not every game is going to get accepted onto Game Pass.
Definitely.
Xbox can't pay every single game.
Yeah.
So for the games who don't go on it because they don't want to, or Xbox says no for some reason, like, how does this ecosystem affect those games?
Definitely.
So just something to consider.
And I would like to tag onto that is what's exciting about this is because Game Pass is so intriguing for indie games that I'm hoping, not to say that we haven't been seeing this, but I'm hoping that this lights a new fire under indie developers to try to be even more creative and to think more
Hmm.
outside the box because they now are trying to catch the eye of Xbox and to get accepted by them, you know? And so, not to say that indie developers are not being creative, I'm not saying that we haven't seen that in a while. I'm just saying sometimes we see a little too much of the same games, you know? And so, I feel like I'm hoping that this might create a new wave of indie. Like, we're going to be in a new age of indie, and it's going to be very interesting. So, keep an eye out. Keep an eye out.
Hmm.
Moving on to the last bit of the podcast, our game log check-in. Adam, we've been spending some time playing some games, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna let you go first. I want to hear what you've been playing within the past month. You just had your second child, so I
Yeah.
don't know if you've been able to play much, but I have been seeing on my PlayStation that you have been playing Elden Ring, and I'm pretty sure you've been playing some other stuff. So I want to know what you've been playing.
It's pretty much just Elden Ring. I
Okay.
know I have Triangle Strategy on here, but I really have not made much progress on that in the past month. Because Elden Ring has just it's been the game.
It has been.
Uh, it's a very, very long game.
Yes, it has.
Because I think I wanna say I'm like 60-ish hours in,
Yes.
and there's just so much left.
So am I.
Of course, I could just go and end the game or attempt to end the game, but I
Yeah.
think I'd get my butt handed to me.
Yes.
And 2, I wanna go for the platinum,
Exactly.
so I'm really gonna have to go after all of the major bosses, and so, I don't know. We'll check in at the 120-hour mark and see if I'm done yet, but it's a awesome, awesome game.
Yeah.
I can't say, probably enough good things about it. I think we're gonna have a very in-depth conversation about it,
I hope so. I hope so.
sometime in the future, but
Yes.
it's a very special game.
It is. It is. Do you want to talk about triangle strategy at all a bit, or do you just want to kind of end cap it there?
No, I would love to talk about it. I'll definitely talk about more once I've, gotten back to it and finished it, but, I was been looking forward to this game for,
Yeah, I've been.
I don't know, probably over a year ever since they announced it.
Yeah,
Like one of my favorite games growing up is Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. And there's a lot of things I like about the way Final Fantasy handles their tactics games versus
yeah,
Fire Emblem.
yeah.
Um, and so I've been very much excited for this game. It has, the same incredible art style that we've seen out of Octopath Traveler, which has been kind of reused for some other games coming up too.
Definitely.
And it's beautiful. I love tactics games, and it's a great one. So far, still very early on.
Sweet.
Um, but you know, I would highly recommend people to try it out. I think there is still a demo for it on
Yeah,
Nintendo's on the eShop. So if you're not sure about it, at least go try it out.
definitely, definitely. I'm gonna wait to see if that game comes to Game Pass because weirdly, weirdly, Octopath Traveler did. So, but yeah, that game does look nice. I mean, that 2D HD style, two
Hmm.
D HD bit. I forgot what they were calling it.
HD 2D
HD2D
2D.
bit. I don't know
Yeah.
what they were calling it, man. But it looks beautiful. I love it. That
Hmm.
looks great.
Hmm.
So I'm intrigued. I played the demo. I liked it. I mean, I've played a little bit of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance because I've been playing it on my uh pocket. I haven't played my pocket recently, but I did play that a while ago and I was loving
Hmm.
every single bit of it. So for me, I've been also playing Elden Ring. A lot of Elden Ring. I'm actually, I feel like you and me are on the exact same spot, and we are actually practically in the same amount of hours in.
Hmm.
I've just been doing I don't even know what you've been doing exactly, and we'll go into a much deeper in-depth thing about that much later.
Yeah.
We talked about this, like, I'm not even kidding, like 3 weeks ago, like, hey, where's everyone at if we want to even talk about this game? I thought at that point, I was like, oh, give me about an extra week and I feel like I'll be confident to talk about it. I am 65 hours in, dude, and I'm still not confident about it because I know how I feel about the game.
Mhm.
I just still have not seen everything. And I've been so sidetracked with doing side quests. I've been
Mhm.
literally going through storylines with videos showing me how to get things done. And I'm not gonna lie, to some people, it's kind of like, oh, you're cheating yourself from the discovery of it. I really don't care. You play the game that you want to. I've been enjoying every single bit of this game.
Yeah.
And
Well,
go for it.
on the discovery piece, for a lot of this stuff, if you don't look it up, you will not discover it.
Exactly.
And you will
Exactly.
just play the game and not have seen it at all or known that it existed, and you'd be like, "Man, there really wasn't a lot of side quests or, the game's kind of just over all of a sudden," and it's
Yep.
like, "Well, that's because you didn't, go back and talk to this merchant after hearing a howling wolf, and then he gave you a gesture that you then used in front of this thing, and he
Yep.
came down and talked to you and started this whole side," and then, oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
like, if you don't do some of these, guides, there's just so much that you'll just never come across.
No, definitely. And that's the thing is I'm more by doing some of these side stories, I've already been finding myself like I didn't know about the side story in the past 30 hours I've been playing. That when I'm trying to do what the people are showing me step for step, I've already skipped like the first 4 steps. And
Mhm.
so it's been interesting to see the videos showing how they would have done it from the beginning on. And it's been helpful for me to kind of catch some bits that I totally missed. Um,
Mhm.
Otherwise, because if not, I would have completely missed it. And I've already been, and so now I've been getting better into the whole idea of it all. But I just like the south part of the map. I just did that 2 nights ago. That part is accessible from the very beginning of the game. You can
Mm.
go there. I just
Mhm.
have not done that. I just been exploring catacombs, side quests, and and I just I'm in love with this game. I love this game so much. It's funny because the amount of times where Vanessa's like, are you almost done with this game?" And I'm like, "No, we're just
Mm.
getting started." And I'm 60
Oh,
hours in.
man.
Like, God bless her soul. The amount, like the absolute horrifying things she has to watch me deal with, and just the off-putting, or just the
Mhm.
so like not deaf tone, but like just the voice acting can sometimes be very like the merchant and the one and whatever. Like, I love it
Or
all.
the or the your fingers that can read them. And it's like,
Exactly.
"Oh my
Yeah,
gosh."
exactly,
It's like, that is
exactly.
so creepy.
Yep, yep. And there'll be sometimes where I'm playing it, I'm doing some like farming, and then I might
Mhm.
find myself trail off and just find something out of nowhere. I'm going into it, and we'll be talking, and she'll be like, "Hey, the blah blah blah, this and this and this," and then she'll look over to the screen and be like, "That's disgusting," and then just keep talking about whatever. I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say." And so either
Oh,
or,
yeah.
this game is so, so cool. And I'm going to remember this experience forever.
Mhm.
But we'll go way more in depth in a later date. Other than Elden Ring, I've been playing a little bit of Fortnite. The no build mode was released. Just real quick, Fortnite's better now with it. I hated the building aspect of Fortnite. At the beginning, it was fun, but until it became a mess, was when it just was not fun anymore. And so now that they took it out, Fortnite plays like a normal battle royale game again. And haters can hate. I think it's much better now without the building. So big thumbs up to Fortnite no build mode. I also played a little bit of Aliens Fireteam Elite. This is all been games I've been playing with my brothers. And we
Mhm.
just had a blast playing Aliens, not because it was fun, which it was fun, but it's because of the jankiness and just the funny things that was just going on that were not supposed to be funny happening in the moment. I had a lot of fun with it. And so if you just want a game, it's on Game Pass. That's where I played Fireteam Elite. If you want to play a game with friends, family, whatever, and just dig in a couple hours here or there, that's a great game to play. It's fun. It's intense at times. And so I totally recommend it. And lastly, I've been playing No Man's Sky by Hello Games. This game keeps delivering and delivering and
Mm.
delivering. They just announced a new update today, Outlaws. And this game is just It's unbelievable. And so this game, I find myself playing, I delete it, then I come back to it, and then I delete it. And so officially, with my brother, I was like, hey, let's officially try to play this game. Let's see what we can do with this. Because there's everything about this game. I love it. The idea of being on a planet, leaving the planet, going to another planet, going to these other galaxies. Like, I love Interstellar, the movie. And so it just gives
Mhm.
me that feeling when I play this game. And so I love it. I think the game is awesome. They've built so much on it. I will say the tutorial, as it keeps getting updated, gets a little longer every time because they're teaching you newer things. But I will say the
Yeah.
UI and everything about the game is much more cleaner than it was before. And so, either or, if you never played No Man's Sky, give it a shot. It is so intriguing. The everything in the intro of like fixing your ship, it might seem a little tedious at the very beginning for the first 30 to 45 minutes, but trust me, the moment you leave that planet, it'll click and you'll be like, oh, I know what this game is, and you're gonna get hooked. So I'm hoping that I can stick with this game a little longer than I have ever had before and try to go out and do a bunch of missions with my brother and see if we can get the fullest potential out of No Man's Sky than we've ever had before. So, but other than that, that's practically all the games I've been playing. I'm gonna continue to keep playing Elden Ring.
Mhm.
Um, Anything else in regards to any newer games, I really don't have an eye on quite yet. I still haven't finished Forbidden West yet, and
Mhm.
I'm going to, and I'm kind of glad that I'm glad that I'm still retaining all the memory as to where I'm at in that game. I haven't forgotten it. I've jumped in an hour or two here every once in a while and continue to play it. I'm going to finish it, but at this moment, man, I'm getting my money's worth out of Elden Ring. I'm
Mhm.
sticking with it
Yep.
until the end, and I'm hoping that I platinum it just like Adam is going to do. I'm actually trying, and we'll obviously you and I will just be texting about it from here on out because there's certain ways I'm trying to platinum this
Mhm.
game without having to do a second run. Because I just, if I miss something at the end of this, I'm unfortunately not going to go back and do it. I'm just going to be honest.
Oh,
So
man. Yeah.
you can get this game platinum in one run. It just I'm pretty sure you have to do things a certain
You
way.
you you gotta manipulate your cloud save backups, that's for
Exactly.
sure.
Exactly. And so I'm at 65 hours. Some people have been able to platinum the game in 80 hours just by looking at what I need to do. I've already kind of marked on my trophy list the trophies I need to tackle that I can't tackle right now before I start accelerating the story. Um, and once I get all those trophies taken care of, the rest of the trophies are all about story. Like I'm gonna have to fight these bosses because of the story. So hopefully I can get all that kind of stuff done. I've been taking out baddies left and right. I'm pretty
Mhm.
stoked for myself. So I'm not weirdly. Ask me if I was when I was 10 hours in, am I gonna platinum this game? There's no shot in the world I was gonna platinum this game because I don't platinum games all the time. Now that I'm 65 hours in, I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm this far in and I'm still loving it. I'm gonna
Mhm.
attempt this platinum. I think it's doable.
Mhm.
I think it's obtainable. So I'm excited to see what I can do. So we'll see. Adam, is there any other games that you're gonna want to check out in the near future before our next podcast, or are you still gonna be sticking with?
Before next
Yeah.
podcast, I have Horizon to go back
Yes.
to,
Yes.
Elden Ring to finish, Triangle Strategy,
Yes.
not to mention, like, the normal backlog of games I have on top
Definitely.
of all of that.
Definitely.
Uh, if I were going to pick up a new game that I don't have already, it would probably be Kirby and the Forgotten Lands or
Yes.
Forgotten Land,
Yes.
whichever it is. But no, other than that, I'm just going to stick it to Elden Ring. Going to keep going. I have a small self brag on that
Oh,
one.
go for it. Let me hear
You know, I've been talking to you and Austin and Michael about the message system, trying to get you guys to engage it.
it.
I know it's not a lot. It's not a lot, but I have a message out there that has 33 or more praises.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm like, keeping that going. Have that one locked in, so it won't just go away, and we'll see how high it gets.
When we talk deeper about this game, man, those messages are the best thing in this game. Not the
Mhm.
best, but I love them so much.
Mhm.
It brings levity into moments that I need it, and so I love the message system. Another thing I forgot to talk about that I played, I'll just touch on real fast. Mario Kart 8 is getting new tracks thanks to the subscription model that they have. If you have the highest tier, you get more tracks. And so Vanessa and I, we just did one of the newer tracks. There's two of them that are out. We did one of them, or one of the new pre's that they released. So fun. I forget, like, this
Mm.
game is so fun. And the fact that we're getting 8 more tracks by the end of next year is mind blowing to me. This game is going to be loaded with tracks. And so we just did one of them so far. Loved it. I won every single race because I'm just that good.
Mhm.
I'm just that good, guys. Come on. Don't even come at me.
Mm.
So I'm hoping to get the next pre done soon. And like Adam said, if there's any game that I'm going to try out next before the next podcast, maybe it's going to be Tunic. That's the next one I'm thinking about digging in. But
Yeah.
it's hard because that's a very Metroidvania Souls-like game, and I'm already playing one of those right now. So we'll see. Tunic is very lighthearted compared to Elden Ring anyway, so it might be a great refresher, to be quite honest. But yeah, anyways, guys, thanks for joining us and being with us as we just go over the news here on the XP Podcast Level 27. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. And in the comments, please let us know about your thoughts regarding PlayStation, Sony and Epic, Nintendo, Xbox, all that kind of stuff. Let us know in the comments down below. If you're listening to the podcast service, please share it with your friends, share it on social media, and rate the podcast on your podcast service of choice. And check us out on all of our social media stuff: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. It's at Ambitious Casual on everything, trying to make it as easy as possible. So check them out. And thanks again, guys, for being there, for listening to us. And here's to, I'm hoping we get some more and more stuff coming up. We're getting closer to the summer, which summer doesn't mean E3 anymore, which is sad, but it does mean
Oh,
Summer Game Fest. So until next time, guys, thanks for joining us. Adam, thank you for joining me here
of
on the
course.
XP Podcast. Later.